Good afternoon, everyone. It is Dr. Chris with Life Clinic, the people's physician, the good doctor, MD, America's public health and health equity champion. Today, we're going to get into the latest in COVID-19 news. As well, we're going to share the latest around COVID-19 vaccines in particular. So if you have a friend or a family member who is not vaccinated, pick up your phone, okay? Everybody, I need you to help me. I need you to be ambassadors. Pick up your phone, call someone, text someone, tell them to tune in because this is life-changing information. So I'm going to give you a few minutes here. One of these days, I'm going to have some music, some intro music. You know, I've put out the call to get intro music. So waiting for one of my gifted family or Yahoo Squad families to help me out on that. But I'm really looking forward to bringing the latest. I'm confessing a viral moment. Those in Bet Hashem Yahweh, those in Yah Squad, you know what time it is. Hey ya! So we're just gonna give people another minute to join in. And we're really just going to have a great time. I'm live through the Life Clinic page on Facebook. I'm also live streaming for the first time. If it's not working, please someone let me know. Live streaming through YouTube. And I need your help. I need 100 subscribers for my YouTube page. Come on, 100. So my first goal is 50. Once I get to 50, then we're going after 100. So again, I want everybody to like the live, to share it, to text someone, to call someone. We'll put this up on Instagram once we're done. I didn't start it from Instagram because, I like to use slides. That's the professor in me. And I want to show you all a few slides again today. And it's really time to get vaccinated. I understand and I respect those who have questions. I understand and I respect those who have concerns or if you're still afraid. And I'm here to help dispel the misinformation and the disinformation and to get everybody vaccinated and safe. I see a question for me to put up the YouTube link. I'm going to ask one of my trusty helpers to go to my Instagram page. In my Instagram profile bio, I have the YouTube link to my YouTube page. And if you could put it in the comment section for me right now, I would truly appreciate that. And so again, if someone could go to my Instagram page for me, in my bio, I have the YouTube link. Thank you, Pro J. So there is the link. Pro J put the link up. If others see it, you can share it, put it out there. We need those subscribers. Okay, so I'm going to start so that we get right into it. We want to make this quick, but we want to make this powerful. And really, I want you to be able to share this message, not just to share it on social media, but in your conversations. If you have a loved one, if you have a friend, anyone who is not vaccinated or anyone who is not doing what they need to do to get safe and stay safe, I want to equip you with the information and the know-how so you can help share the news. You can help share the information because that's the only way we're going to achieve equity, and that's the only way we're going to ever arrive at justice. And before I start, I always want to come to you from a health equity lens. What is health equity? If we use the definition that the American Public Health Association uses, health equity is the opportunity for everyone to achieve their highest level of health. So that's what health equity is. That's the goal of health equity. And that's where we are aiming, and we are not going to stop. So let me just get my slides ready. Let me know if you're able to see the PowerPoint. If you're not able to see the PowerPoint, please somebody give me a heads up because I want to make sure the slides are showing properly. Okay. So somebody, give me a text and let me know that everyone is able to see the slides so that we can just proceed. Again, this is Life Clinic with Dr. Chris. This is our May 23rd episode. And we're going to get into some very important information and the facts. So how many people have we lost to coronavirus? It's so important that we always start here. And I won't ever minimize the loss that we've experienced in this country. To date, there have been over 587,000 deaths due to coronavirus. There have been over 33 million positive cases in the United States due to coronavirus. And those are just the confirmed numbers. There are others whom have lost their lives and who have tested positive or were positive, and for some reason or another, the data has not captured in. And that's a staggering amount. I start there because like I said, it's so important to understand just how devastating this pandemic has been. But there is good news to share. And the good news to share is that we are beating this pandemic. It's not over. This fight is not over, but we are winning. And if we can all come together to do what we need to do to get safe and stay safe, we can beat back this pandemic. I believe that. I believe that with the depth of my heart, my spirit, and my soul. So our 7-day moving average of daily new cases as of yesterday's data is 25,315. That's actually a low point. That's the lowest we've been since last June in 2020. So I'm very, very happy and excited about that. Our 7-day moving average of daily deaths is 504 as of yesterday. And again, that's about the lowest we've been since last July. That's still a lot of people on average dying every day. And so it's not until we can get that number, you'll see certain public health scholars say once we get to about 10,000 cases daily, or once we get to less than 100 deaths daily, we will know that we've made a significant leap forward. But we are making advances and we can get there, but it takes all of us to get there. And not only has coronavirus fundamentally changed our lives here in the United States, and we can never, ever forget this, this is a global pandemic. Coronavirus around the world, there have been 3.4 million deaths. Unfortunately, South America and Latin America just passed a staggering toll, over 1 million lives lost to coronavirus. The latest daily figures for deaths occurring on a daily basis is 12,438. Total confirmed cases across the globe, 165.5. Think about the total confirmed cases in the United States. Approximately 33 million. And then think about across the globe. That is a lot. And then think about the latest daily figure for new cases. New cases across the globe is about 295,395. Both of those numbers are still high and alarming, but you can see where we have trended over these past 56 days. You've heard a lot in the news about what is happening in India. It is harrowing. My prayers go out to India, but we also need action. You see that there have been a release of doses or shipments of doses to go to India, as well as PPE, as well as ventilators and things of that nature. Also in other parts of the globe that have been fighting this pandemic, like in Brazil, we need to keep our vigilance focused on the world in addition to our backyards. I will always, always, always talk about how the pandemic in particular is impacting Black and Brown communities. We can see from the CDC's latest data, this data was released as of April 23rd. If you look at cases, that there has been a disproportionate number of cases in Black and Brown communities and Indigenous communities compared to white Americans. You can see that there has been a disproportionate number of hospitalizations in Black and brown communities and indigenous communities compared to white Americans. That number roughly anywhere from 3 to 3.5 times higher in Blacks, Latinos, and Natives populations. Death, we've spoken a lot about this, and I will continue to sound the alarm about this, because as long as any group is dying at a disproportionate rate, we do not have health equity for the masses, and we definitely do not have health justice. So with Blacks, Latinos, and American Indians and Alaska Natives, we see that death rate anywhere between 2 to 2.4 times higher in those groups. You'll see in Asian Americans, the disproportionality is not as great, but I do want to caution you not to underestimate the devastation it has caused in the Asian American community. Right here in New Jersey in 2020, coronavirus was a leading cause of death for Blacks, Latinos, and Asians, okay? If you look at other bodies of data, you'll see the Color of Coronavirus project, I've shared this previously, will show you that those death rates can go as high as 3.3 times higher in the Native community if you include age adjustment. Brookings Institute did a fabulous write-up and analysis back in June 2020, and the Brookings Institute actually showed that Blacks are dying at younger ages. Blacks are dying at younger ages and equivalent to whites who are over a decade older. That's because of systemic racism and how systemic racism has accumulated risk on the backs of Black and brown folks. If you look in particular, also pointing again to the Brookings Institute work, to those in my age range, 45 to 54, Blacks and Latinos are 6 times, their death rate is 6 times higher than white Americans. We know that looking at preliminary data for 2020, the United States lost 1 year off of its collective life expectancy. But if you look specifically at the Black community or the Latino community, you see that that number is about 3 years for Blacks and about 2 years for Latinos. If you look at race and ethnicity and gender, that number is a firm 3 years for Black men, around 2.5 for Latino men, and around 2.3 for Black women. Again, we can't hide from these disparities, and we cannot hide from these health inequities. This is very important. So especially now since adolescents can get vaccinated, it's very, very, very important to understand how children have been faring in this pandemic. And here is data that's available as of May 13th of this year. This is from the American Academy of Pediatrics. The cumulative number, meaning the total number of child COVID-19 cases that have been reported, are almost 4 million, 3.9 million. And children have represented about 14% of cases. But we've seen a recent change. If you look in recent past weeks, for instance, May 6th to May 13th, we had 48,915 new child COVID-19 cases. That represents approximately 24% of the new weekly cases. Over 2 weeks, from April 29th through May 13th, we see that there was a 3% increase in the cumulative number of child COVID-19 cases. So I basically point that out to say it is important to understand that this virus is looking for lanes of survival. That's how viruses survive. Viruses cannot survive without hosts. Viruses are different from bacteria in that way. Viruses need a host. So the virus is going to mutate or change to ensure its survivability, right? So it can evade the immunity that can be conferred by vaccines or therapeutics that will neutralize it. This is what the virus does to try to outsmart those interventions. And when you have a host that has not been vaccinated, the virus is more likely to have a jump in cases in those hosts. Hence why you see children, because increasingly adults are being vaccinated. So if your children who are 12 and above have not been vaccinated, I strongly, strongly, strongly encourage you to get your children vaccinated. A family that gets vaccinated together stays healthy together, okay? And I just heard some really encouraging news. We're thinking that it could be as soon as September that children as young as who could potentially be vaccinated. And that's quicker than what was being reported before we were looking at the fall, the later fall, even the winter. So I'm excited because that means all of the boo bots will be vaccinated. We have two more, not two more, we have one more boo bot to go, just one more boo bot to go. And the boo bots are my nieces, for those of you who may not know. If we look at the total picture around who has been vaccinated in the United States, again, this is data from the CDC. This data was updated as of yesterday. At least 162 million Americans have gotten one dose. So let's all clap, because that is progress. Okay, at least 129 million Americans are fully vaccinated. Let's all clap, because that is progress. You heard it here. We need to celebrate every win. And as we celebrate the wins, we must push, 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 push until we achieve health equity and health justice. And so we still have a ways to go, folks. We still have a ways to go. If you break down the population by those who are 12 and older, and those who are 18 and older, and those who are 65 and older, you see that we've had the most aggressive success in the 65 and older, because we saw coronavirus decimate those age groups. Those were priority groups around vaccination. And we saw great enthusiasm and willingness in those age categories to get vaccinated. If we look at those who are 18 and above, over 60% of all Americans 18 and above have at least one dose. Fully vaccinated, almost half of all adult Americans are fully vaccinated. Come on, we should celebrate, but we've got to push further. And now that 12 and above is eligible for vaccination, we see those numbers rising. I find myself constantly on my phone, texting, calling, sharing information, and I'm asking you, this is a call to action. Today is a call to action. I need my Life Clinic watchers. I need my Life Clinic supporters to take Life Clinic into the streets. And the way that you take Life Clinic into the streets is you think about your social network. You think about your family. You think about your friends. You think about your social sphere, and you share this information with them. And use my name if you need to. Say, Dr. Chris, Dr. Chris told me to do this. You can say, Dr. Chris told me to do it. I'm happy to show up virtually in people's lives, telephonically in people's lives, and physically if you go to church with me. Shout out to Bet Hashem Yahweh. Shout out to Yah Squad. I don't believe we have any Yah Squad members or any leaders in Bet Hashem Yahweh who are not vaccinated. That it can be attributed to the leadership of this ministry. So for Bet Hashem Yahweh and Yah Squad, come on, give yourselves a hand clap. For others who are out there, if you don't know about it, get in the know. We got the Lyrical Apostle Pastor Pasha, the app, dopest MC in the game. She has a podcast that she does every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. coming to you with the Bishop of Hip Hop from her Instagram page. Again, people drop those social media handles in the comment section so people can tune in and follow. Because this is Life Clinic. This is about everybody getting safe and staying safe and everybody living the fullness of life. Okay. I'm always going to tell you the good news, but then we're going to break it down. Yes, we have made progress. You saw that at least almost 60% and higher of all adults 18 or older have received at least one dose. The president is really pushing that we can get to 70% of the population that is fully vaccinated by July 4th. I can tell you in the state of New Jersey, 70% of New Jerseyan adults have received at least one dose of the vaccine. And New Jersey was one of the first states to achieve that. I want to say one of the first 8 at least to achieve that. Vermont is leading the pack. Shout out to Vermont. Vermont is definitely leading the pack. But again, we can bring change by using the power of friendship, the power of community to help arm people with information so that people can move throughout their decision journey. I know people are stuck in their decision journey. I have people that I love dearly who are stuck in their decision journey, who haven't been vaccinated. And I'm going to keep being a source of inspiration, a source of vigilance, and a source of information, and sharing the information. I know people who have chronic conditions, autoimmune disorders, who are not vaccinated. And there is some concern still in that community, specifically among those who have lupus, about whether or not it's safe to get vaccinated. And this is something I've put in the work around. I've put in the research, I've put in the homework, meaning research, looking through the literature. I'm speaking to those who are leading coronavirus vaccine trials, and the consensus is that those with lupus should be vaccinated, like those who have had solid organ transplants should be vaccinated, like those who are undergoing treatment for cancer should be vaccinated. Sometimes physicians are thinking about what is the best window or opportunity for vaccination, but you should be vaccinated because the risk of getting coronavirus is even worse if you have those conditions. If you live in a house, if you are not vaccinated, and you live in a house with someone with asthma, you live in a house with someone with diabetes, you live in a house with someone with high blood pressure, you live in a house with someone with sickle cell, you live in a house with someone with lupus, you live in a house with someone with inflammatory bowel disease, you should get vaccinated because your level of protection and immunity helps to confer some level of protection and immunity on another. I told you all of my boo bots are vaccinated except for one, but Boobot Kaya has a level of protection because those in her family unit are all vaccinated, okay? And so that's true if you have a loved one in your household who has some chronic condition. And what we know about those who have autoimmune disorders, some of them who've already been fully vaccinated, they don't have the same level of effectiveness of the vaccine. So you being vaccinated is an additional help and benefit to them. Okay, so breaking down the numbers, we know how many Americans have been vaccinated, but it's important to know, are we reaching the communities that have been disproportionately devastated? Let me teach you something. And I've said this name before, and I want you all to remember it. Dr. Camara Jones. Dr. Camara Jones says, you must ask, how is racism operating here? Because if you don't ask the question, you will not solve for dismantling and disrupting racism. If you don't ask the question, you will not enact anti-racism strategies and interventions. It's not about being non-racist. It's about being anti-racist, tearing that system down. What is racism? Racism is a system of structuring opportunity. It's system sickness, whereby one group is unfairly advantaged because of the value assigned to their life based on skin color. Another group is unfairly disadvantaged because the value assigned to their lives based on skin color. But the strength of the society as a whole is that somebody run and tell Tucker Carlson that America can't be great until America solves racism. And you can tell them that Dr. Chris said that, the people's physician, the good Dr. MD, America's public health and health physician and health equity champion. I'm going to write about it. And equity is not racism. Okay, that's foolishness. You heard it here. Run tell that to Tucker. And so if we look at the groups, we see that in the Hispanic and Latino community, the proportion of persons, let's focus on fully vaccinated, right? Because that means you have full protection. Of those who are fully vaccinated, about 12.2% are Latino, but Latinos are roughly 17.2% of the population. So that's not good, right? So when you're looking through an equity lens, you want to know, how are those groups who have been historically excluded or marginalized, how are they faring because of the power structure of white supremacy and how it orders and structures opportunity differently by race and ethnicity, okay? All right, but in the last 2 weeks, we've made considerable gains and increases in the Latino community because we're focusing around issues of access, we're focusing around issues of health literacy, we're focusing around issues of language. We must communicate to people in the language of their preference, the language they understand, the language they can read, and so you see that happening. So I also want to point out Blacks. So scroll down to Black and non-Hispanic. You see about 8.6% of those who are fully vaccinated are Black, but only, but that's not comparing to the 12.4% that we represent in the United States population. That's not good. None of us should be satisfied with that, because we all can't be safe until everybody is safe. Okay. And in these last 2 weeks, we really haven't made a gain or an increase. So I'm speaking directly to my Black brothers and sisters out there right now. If you have someone in your family who's not vaccinated, or someone in your social circle or social sphere who's not vaccinated, let's figure out why. And let's solve those concerns so that those people can get vaccinated and that we all can get safe and stay safe. I showed you how disproportionately devastating coronavirus has been in Black and brown lives. If anybody tells you that coronavirus is done, we're over, shake them back into reality, because that's not true. People are still dying. On average, 500 people are dying a day. Imagine if there were a plane crash every day and 500 people were dying every day. We would be alarmed and outraged. So we should still be alarmed and outraged that roughly 500 Americans are dying every day. We have to fix that. So have that as a part of your conversation, and also have as a part of your conversation those who are getting infected and don't die but get infected still are at risk to have lingering debilitating symptoms, that their lives could be fundamentally changed because of a coronavirus infection, even if that coronavirus infection is mild or moderate. Or they could expose someone else, someone who has an autoimmune disorder and has been fully vaccinated, but the vaccine is not as effective in them, given the virtue or the nature of their immune system. So we're in this together. So that's my charge, because we got to get those numbers up, specifically in the Black and African American community. If you look at whites, whites represent about 64.3% of those who are fully vaccinated. In the past 2 weeks, that number has dropped somewhat, because there has been a lot of focus on getting the harder hit communities vaccinated. And we have hit a bit of a wall. That demand has fallen, even fallen among white Americans. We know that we see different levels of enthusiasm among groups with different political affiliation. We see different levels of enthusiasm among those with different faith systems, evangelical white Christians. We see different levels of enthusiasm among those who live in rural versus urban environments. We see different levels of enthusiasm among those who are of different age categories. And sometimes that enthusiasm is rooted in misinformation, and other times that enthusiasm is rooted in access barriers. So we can solve this. All right. Vaccinating data here. If we look at, how many people, the percent of total population that has received at least one COVID-19 vaccine dose by race and ethnicity, and we look from March 1st to May 17th. This is data made available by the Kaiser Family Foundation. I frequently go to data made available by this team in particular. Okay, and so look at this. Look at March and data available from 36 states, and look at the aqua blue line that represent Blacks, and see how that line has changed from March. So roughly 7%, right? All the way until we hit I'm sorry, I'm reading the wrong, about 7%, all the way till we hit a high about 28. Okay, look at Hispanics or Latinos, starting about here 5% until we hit a high of 30%. Look at whites, starting at roughly 13% until we hit a high of 42%. Looking at Asian Americans, starting roughly again around 13% like whites, until we hit, just a little bit below 13%, until we hit a high of 52%. So you can see that there's definitely a difference along race and ethnicity and the percent of the population that has received at least one dose, if we focus on March 1st to May 17th. So we have work to do. Okay, and this is what the importance of this slide is, to show where we have work, but you all are in my prevention army. I'm drafting you into the Life Clinic and Dr. Chris Prevention Army. Does the public want to get a COVID-19 vaccine? And when? So again, this is also from the Kaiser Family Foundation. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant foundation that does great work. And so there are 4 different categories. Already got one, or they want to get it as soon as possible. There are those who are still in the wait and see. Those who are saying, I'm only getting it if it's required of me, meaning it's required by my job, meaning it's required by my school, meaning it's required for me to do an activity or an event that I really like to do. And that might be travel. Or then we have those who are the definitely not, saying there isn't anything that will make me get vaccinated. So I'm going to focus on 3 of these categories. Wait and see is the first one, because we have a decent amount of folks who are still in the wait and see. I know people on here watching today, you have loved ones or family members who are in the wait and see category. And any of my friends who are watching who are in the wait and see category, hit me up. Let's have a conversation. Let's have a one-on-one. If you look at who is more likely to fall in those categories, according to this poll, 18 to 29-year-olds. Do you know any 18 to 29-year-olds? Come on, let's get to talking. Let's get to talking and let's make something happen, because we can't all be safe until we get everybody safe. And we need at least 70% of the population fully vaccinated. What we know from looking abroad, we can look at Israel and look at other countries that have had very aggressive vaccination efforts. When we hit about 60% of the population having at least 1 dose of the coronavirus vaccine, you begin to see new cases fall and you begin to see deaths fall, because the virus doesn't have an available host, okay? And so we know that getting there is critical. We have approximated that in at least 1 dose, but we need to get to 70% of all Americans and all of those adults in particular being fully vaccinated. Another group that falls in the wait and see category are Blacks. Blacks fall in the wait and see category. Those living in urban environments fall in the wait and see category. What I find very encouraging around the wait and see category is that these people aren't fixed. These people aren't saying, I'm never going to get vaccinated. So as long as you're telling me there is a possibility, we can win. We can help you. We can help provide you with the information. We can help think through access barriers and ensure that you can complete that decision journey. What's the decision journey? We have people who are aware of vaccinations. Then we have people who are motivated. That's another step in the decision journey. So we go from awareness to motivation. The next step in the decision journey is intention. Not only am I motivated to get vaccinated, but I intend to do it. Meaning I intend to get vaccinated on this date, like you have a scheduled appointment. Completion, you've been vaccinated. You got dose 1. Today, I was hopeful. There's one person in particular that I was hopeful would take advantage of a vaccination site, supposedly within walking distance of their house. And I'm going to tell you, I was disappointed. I was disappointed to hear that we weren't able to impress upon this person, or this person wasn't ready. So before I joined this life clinic, I did another text barrage to this person to say, hey, let me know what your specific questions are. What's stopping you? What's holding you back? So we can get you out of that wait and see, and get you from awareness to motivation, to intention, to completion, and follow through. All right, because it takes 2 doses or at least 2 weeks after a dose. Let's look at the only if required. Now, this is fascinating, right? This only if required, because there are a lot of businesses, there are a lot of organizations like universities considering whether or not they should make COVID-19 vaccination mandatory. And let me give you all a heads up. If your place of employment has not made it mandatory right now, I do believe by the fall, there is great likelihood that I'm going to go out on a limb. I think a majority of workplaces will have made it mandatory, or will strongly consider that before the year closes, because we have so much real world evidence. I showed you how many hundreds of millions of Americans have already, 129 million plus, have already been fully vaccinated. That data set right there, that is huge. That's real world data. Those people have been vaccinated and those people are safe. Those people have been vaccinated and the vaccine has been shown to be effective, meaning that there aren't an alarming amount of breakthrough infections. When the CDC was tracking this data, roughly the percentage of breakthrough infections was 0.01%. Folks, that's really low. That's really, really low. And we want to help people understand that. But right now, you have states offering a chance to enter a lottery if you get vaccinated. You have states offering, bonds, savings bonds, if you get vaccinated. And you have jobs considering, UCLA did a study, you have jobs considering what's the incentive amount that will move a person to get vaccinated. So please take this opportunity to go ahead and get vaccinated before your employer requires it. And if you have a child at a college, and I agree with this, college campuses are going to require the vaccination because that's how we know people get safe. And for those of you who say, but how could you do that? We don't know that this is safe. Actually, that's not true. Right now, we have a plethora of data in a comprehensive way that these vaccines are safe. They have not been approved. They've been authorized. So the difference in that nuance is that you need a certain amount of time to continue to accumulate data. And already Pfizer, one of the vaccines that's available through the EUA, Emergency Use Authorization, has put forth their application to the CDC for primary approval. So I fully expect by the fall we'll have some of these vaccines, if not more than one of them, that are fully approved because there is no alarming data. I told you this before, and I'm going to say it again. If a person is going to experience an adverse outcome, a serious medical event because of a vaccine, vaccine research through the decades have shown us it is going to happen in the first 6 weeks after administration. So for those of you still asking, but you don't know the long-term effects, I do understand the way vaccines work. And I do understand the science, and it would be infinitesimally rare for something to happen outside of that 6-week window. So you have loads, hundreds of millions of people plus who have been vaccinated and who have not experienced any serious medical events. I've been fully vaccinated since October. I have not experienced any serious medical event. Okay. So look at those who are in the only if required group. Again, the 18 to 29-year-olds. If you have 18 to 29-year-olds in your life, ask them, are you vaccinated? If they're not, see what their reasons are. We also know in this age group, they're more likely to get vaccinated if it's required to do something they want, if it's required to do something they really want to do, a social event. So you have, different clubs or, sports activities that are playing around with that option of vaccination to see if that will help us move the needle. Otherwise, if you look along white, blacks, Latinos, it's about roughly the same. If you look around urban and suburban, it's about roughly the same. We do see an uptick in rural communities. And those who are definitely not, this is what becomes very fascinating. Originally, it was spoken of in the media as if Blacks and Latinos were the most hesitant, were the most reluctant, and that's not true. There really isn't an appreciable difference between white and Blacks. Latinos are less in this poll, but there is an appreciable difference among those who identify as Republicans. There is an appreciable difference also among those who live in rural areas. So if you have friends or family who are Republican or who live in rural areas, we need to think through what are the conversation, what are the decision points that are available to help move those people from a definitely not category, maybe into a only if required, or maybe even into a wait and see. And finally, this survey came out last week, and I was really fascinated by it. I'm not particular about all of the language in it, and I'll go through that really briefly, but this is a national survey of 1,670 U.S. adults. It was done back in March by Sergo Ventures. An opinion piece was published in the New York Times about it. Other than the 4 groups listed here, the author, drawing from data in the survey, says that there are 5 categories of people in the United States. You have the enthusiasts. So the enthusiasts are already vaccinated, are getting vaccinated very soon. Of those who are not vaccinated, roughly 8% are watchful, roughly 9% are cost anxious, roughly 4% are system distrusters, and 14% are COVID skeptics. Okay, so let's talk about this. The watchful. The watchful are the folks that's waiting to see this, what's going to happen to other people. Now, let me lean in and let me smile. Dr. Chris loves you. But if you are a watchful, I want you to tell me what you're waiting for. Tell me what the decision point is that you're waiting for. Because at this point, you probably know someone that's been vaccinated. And you know someone that's been vaccinated and they haven't had any serious medical events. Could they have had side effects? Yes, but side effects are normal. And side effects only last a few days. Could they have experienced an allergic reaction? That's rare. But there is no one who had an allergic reaction and died. Were there folks who lost their lives who took J&J? Yes, unfortunate. Every life lost is a life that we should mourn and should not happen. We do know characteristics, okay, that those who either had the blood clot disorder with the drop in the platelets and who lost their lives, there was even a smaller number than those. It was about 20 or so who had the blood clotting disorder plus the drop in platelets, an even smaller number than out of that 20 lot that actually lost their lives. And some of them lost their lives because of how the disorder was treated. But now that physicians know about it, we know not to treat it with our standard ways that we treat blood clots, because there's also a simultaneous drop in platelets, okay? So what are you waiting for? We know what helps to move the needle are family members for this group, people in their social network. So if you have somebody in your group telling you, wait, I'm just waiting to see, ask them specifically, what are you waiting to see? What are you waiting for? Because your actions are more likely to influence them, because folks in the wait and see, in that watchful category, do follow social norms. Cost anxious. These are the folks who say, I don't know if I have time to do it. Or I don't know if I can afford to do it. All of the vaccines are free. Let me say that again. All of the vaccines are free. If anybody is charging anyone for a vaccine, please reach out to me. Reach out to me on Twitter at Dr. Chris MD. Reach out to me on Instagram at The Good Dr. MD. Reach out to me on Facebook, Life Clinic 101. Reach out to me on YouTube, because I will help you fight that, because no one should be charged for a vaccine. But there is a perceived cost, meaning, do I have to take time off from work? Meaning, if I experience side effects, will I have to take time off from work? This is why it is important for employers to create incentives around folks getting vaccinated. And some jobs are even saying, look, we'll give you protected time to get vaccinated, or we'll give you protected time if you experience side effects. Otherwise, try to schedule it where it's on a weekend, so that if you do experience side effects, and everyone doesn't, but they're normal, you have a way around that. Then you have system distrusters. I don't like this word, because these people are really saying the healthcare system doesn't treat me fairly. And I can say that as a Black woman, the healthcare system doesn't always treat me fairly. My family has had experiences with that. My mother, my father, my sisters, my brothers, my loved ones. You probably have people in your family that have had experience with that. So that's why I don't like the word system distrusters. You know, I land on the side of, it is the responsibility of the system to demonstrate trustworthiness so that folks can then grow trust. But these people feel like the healthcare system hasn't treated them fairly. And it could be very rational and very true. So because of their experiences and their histories and their narratives, it is important for those of us in public health, and it is important for the academic medical complex to talk about efforts around equity. These folks want to hear, what are you doing to ensure that those who've been disproportionately impacted are getting preferential access? And I say the word preferential, because equity solves for what your needs are. And if your needs are greater, you need priority. Point blank. Okay, so it's going to be important to talk to these people in the language of equity and justice. Okay, and finally, the largest of the group, the COVID skeptics, the people who tell you coronavirus is not that serious. Lie. Over 585,000 Americans are dead because of coronavirus. I showed you the number of people that are dead across the world because of coronavirus. Look at what's happening in India right now, and the fact that roughly 500 Americans are still dying every day. It is not the flu. Let that rest and marinate. It is not. But the best way to deal with a COVID skeptic is not to come at them rah, 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 rah. The best way to deal with a COVID skeptic, we found, is to elevate the voices of, they trust doctors. They trust scientists, but they trust doctors even more than scientists, probably their own doctor. And they do trust, if they believe in a particular religion and they're using religion as a reason not to get vaccinated, if a religious leader tells them about the benefits of getting vaccinated, they're more likely to get vaccinated. So for those of you who are believers, or especially of the Christian faith, or if you have the Islamic faith, think about those in your social network. If you have the Jewish faith, the Hindu faith, think about those, the Sikh faith, think about those in your network and say, if any of those people are tying their reason for not getting vaccinated to their faith, think about faith leaders who are advocating for or influencing and showing the benefits of vaccination. It's important to combat misinformation and disinformation with facts. So share facts with these people, share numbers, and share stories. And finally, and then, I'll open up for if anyone has any questions. I use this slide a lot, whether I'm speaking at a grand rounds, or whether I'm speaking with corporate leaders, or whether I'm speaking to an organization. This is my go-to slide, because this is what we are fighting for. I want you all to just stop and take a minute and look at the slide. Look at the slide. What's the first thing you see? I'm gonna tell you what's the first thing I see. The tree is bent. The tree is skewed to the left from my perspective. Okay, I'm looking at my slide head on. The tree is skewed to the left. I see a person standing on the left, and I see a person standing on the right. Because the tree is skewed to the left, and just by gravity and forces alone, it's more likely that fruit is going to fall on that side. But what about the person on the right? Okay, but you're saying to the person on the right, work harder. You're saying to the person on the right, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. You're saying to the person on the right, you don't really want to be vaccinated. But the tree is skewed to the left. So equality says everything should be equal. Okay, so we're going to give both of you a ladder. I will not give the person on the right on a ladder unless the person on the left can get a ladder. But when you give the person on the left on a ladder, you just increase the unfair advantage that person has, because they are even closer to the fruit. Not only will gravity cause fruit to fall more on that side, but they are closer to the fruit. And the person on the right is like, okay, now you've given me a ladder, and still I can't get to the opportunity. And that believes, a further belief, oh, you're not just trying hard enough. Oh no, that's probably something wrong with you. There's something wrong with your group. I'm giving you a ladder and you still can't get the fruit. Equity says, okay, I'm not giving you equal ladders. I'm giving you a ladder based off of your need. You have a greater need because the tree is skewed in a different direction. So I'm going to give you a higher ladder. So equity begins to solve the problem, but equity is not the end all of solving the problem. So the person with the higher ladder on the right can access more of the fruit, can access more of the opportunity. But still, the person on the left has an unfair advantage. Justice says, I'm going to make the tree upright. That's the work I'm doing, making trees upright. So if there's a tree that's skewed in any sector, if there's a tree that's skewed in any area of your life, if there's a tree that's skewed in any sector, field, profession of American way of life, unless we make the tree upright, we will not achieve justice. Okay, folks, so that's all I have for my slides today. I hope you have enjoyed the slides. Listen, I hope you are sharing this life clinic. I hope you are sharing the YouTube. I need 50 subscribers. Once we get 50 subscribers, then I need 100 subscribers so I can get a customized YouTube channel and we can push out Life Clinic. And we're going to talk about more issues, but I'm not going to stop talking about coronavirus until we get the majority of this population safe. Yes, I'm pointing at you. I need your help. I need your help. Join me in this prevention army right now. If you have a loved one, let's just stop and let's intentionally see that person's face. You have a friend. I have a friend right now. I'm thinking about her. I see her face. Ooh, I'm praying whatever needs to happen that she can get to a point where she's comfortable with getting vaccinated, because I believe it's the right thing to do. If I didn't believe it was the right thing to do, I wouldn't be putting this much effort into it, okay? And I alone can't do this. We need all of the voices to come together. Oh, you see my shirt? You see my shirt? War on injustice. Yes. Okay. And so, also tell me, what else would you like to hear from the Good Doctor? What else would you like to hear from Life Clinic? Would you like a Life Clinic shirt? If I sold a Life Clinic shirt, would you buy it? If I had other merchandise, would you use it? Let's think about how we change this world and how we build equity and justice. There are two things I really want to talk about. It is about masking. And then I want to talk about vaccination. So I see there's a question, and I see the question says, is it safe? Good stuff. Thanks, Rich. I'm just trying to show some things here. Rhea says, is it safe to open back up without a mask with only half of the people vaccinated? Okay, very good question. All right. So everyone who is not vaccinated, you should be wearing your mask. I'm just checking my slides to see what people are trying to show me the questions. I have helpers. I got it. Thank you. Yes, you should be wearing your mask. You want to take your mask off? Get vaccinated. Ooh. And so I say that because of several reasons. The wearing of the mask is source control, and it protects others from you. So we have children out there who are not eligible to be vaccinated. So if you're an adult and you're choosing not to get vaccinated, you should still be wearing your mask. Now let's think about those of us who are fully vaccinated. I have been fully vaccinated since October, okay? It is safe for me to be outdoors and to have my mask off. The CDC says it's even safe for me to be outdoors in crowds and have my mask off. I don't think I'm comfortable with doing that yet. So I will be outdoors as long as it's not crowded, and I will have my mask off. The CDC actually says it's safe even if you're not vaccinated to be outdoors without your mask, like if you're doing a physical activity. As long as you're not in crowds, as long as you're not around other unvaccinated people. Okay, so if you're by yourself and unvaccinated and outdoors, yeah, you're probably safe. But if you're with other unvaccinated people, you're not safe. So my hard, fast rule is if you're unvaccinated, wear your mask. Indoors, I'm fully vaccinated and I'm still wearing my mask. I went to a mall this morning. I had my mask on. I did pull it down to taste a little something, and then I pulled it right back up. Okay, so because one, I want to see more of the population vaccinated, and I want to live by a good example. I know there are children who are unvaccinated. I know there are those with autoimmune issues who are unvaccinated. And I know there are a few who the vaccines won't be 100% effective in. The other thing that I want to talk about, I don't see this question, but here, let's put this up there. Please subscribe. I love that. Fertility. I hear this a lot. There is an excellent video that Dr. Michelle Morse, who is, I believe she's a chief medical officer for the New York City Department of Health. Shout out to the New York City Department of Health. I have a lot of great friends who work there, who have worked there in the past. It's safe. If you're planning to get pregnant, it is safe to get vaccinated. There isn't anything in the science that led to the production of the vaccines or anything in the data that we have to date that would suggest that it's unsafe for those planning to get pregnant to get vaccinated. And I say that because that is a frequent question I hear, and it's a very, very good question. Where the concern came from originally, the concern came from the fact that if these vaccines attack the proteins, like, so your body is taught to make a protein that's similar to the coronavirus spike protein. It's not the coronavirus spike protein. So you're not being infected with coronavirus because there is no live virus in the vaccines. Say it again, Dr. Chris, you are not being infected with coronavirus. There is no live virus in the vaccine. Your body is being taught how to make a protein. Once your body learns how to make that protein, It primes the immune system. Hi, Pastor Gail. Hi, Pastor Jason. Love of Jesus on board. Grew up in that church. Yahweh, Yahweh, Yahweh bless you all. For those of you who are in New Jersey, it's a wonderful family ministry. And Yahweh bless and salute you all. So your body is taught to make these proteins. Then your immune system gets active, your antibodies, your T cells, so that if you get exposed to the real thing in the future, your immune system is what? Ready to fight. Okay. Your body gets rid of the proteins that it makes, and your body gets rid of the messenger RNA. It does not stay lingering in your immune system. So people were thinking that there was a similar type of protein that is involved in the attachment of the placenta, that the vaccine would attack that protein. It's not true. I'm going to say that again. It's not true. Okay? There is no evidence that women or people who are breastfeeding or lactating have any risk to their child by getting vaccinated. We have had people now at this point who have been pregnant and who have been vaccinated and who have carried to term, and those who are lactating or breastfeeding. We have no evidence among the 100,000 plus who have already been vaccinated, or the 4,000 plus in Be Safe, which is an app on the phone that are being followed closely, or the small study that's being done. So with pregnant women, it's a personal choice or decision. So remember, I talked about 3 different groups: those planning pregnancy, those currently breastfeeding, and those who are already pregnant. Of those who are already pregnant, this is a personal choice or decision. Is there limited evidence? Yes. But is there any evidence suggesting that is a danger to your unborn child? No evidence. We have over 110,000 pregnant people who have already been vaccinated through the mass vaccination efforts, and none of those folks have had worse birth outcomes. We have very small studies that have looked at pregnant people breastfeeding and non-pregnant and non-breastfeeding as a control. No adverse effects. Also, Pfizer is doing a study right now evaluating, so we're going to have a very definitive answer. I see a question. I saw one. Let's see. It was from Maxine, I thought. I'm trying to find it. Kaya is asking, if a mom gets vaccinated while pregnant, does it mean that the baby is vaccinated automatically? Good question, Kaya. We do have some evidence that baby may have some level of protection. We don't have definitive evidence, but we're showing antibodies in the baby, right? So it could be a benefit to your baby. So yes, excellent question. In the state of Florida, let's show this. Maxine says, in the state of Florida, they state that people who are vaccinated, they are not required to wear a mask. How does everyone know that people are being honest about being fully vaccinated? People that have had the first vaccine, but not the second. We have not had the vaccine yet. Our family will continue to wear masks. Yes, you should continue to wear a mask because your family is unvaccinated. Also, I want to strongly encourage you to get vaccinated, Max, to get you and your family that is eligible vaccinated. It is safe and it is effective. And there aren't any chronic health conditions that are an absolute contraindication to vaccination. Those who develop an immediate allergic reaction, meaning within 4 hours of receiving one dose, they had hives, they had difficulty breathing, they had swelling, or they have full-on anaphylaxis when your throat closes up. No, you shouldn't get a second dose. And you should not get vaccinated if you know specifically you have an allergy to any of the ingredients. Let's see. Let's just going through to check out some more of the questions. How does equality in personal health information, or maybe the violation of HIPAA, when we expose or separate those who've had the vaccine and those who hadn't? Is this fair or equitable? Rich, I would like for you to think about it from the perspective of flu vaccines. Flu vaccines are required in a lot of workplace environments, and other vaccines are required in a lot of congregate settings, whether that's an academic or a college setting, whether that's a nursing home, they're required, okay? And so what I mean by that is there are mandates around requiring vaccination, and the employer can say, have you or have you not been vaccinated? That's a workplace mandate to drive safety. Okay, a person who says, I don't want to get vaccinated because it's against my belief to get vaccinated, then that person in the workplace is required to wear a mask. That's what's happened around the flu vaccine right now. And I very much expect to see similar happening. Otherwise, a business is not going to be able to have a system where they can verify or deny. I do think, and remember, businesses are at will. Like, you can tell a business can put on its door, no shoes, no shirt, no service. So a business could say, if you're not vaccinated, I'm not going to let you in. You as a customer, you're not forced to eat there. You can choose to eat somewhere else. You can say, I want to eat there. So they could look for a digital health pass that shows your vaccination, but most businesses aren't going to have the means to do that. I think someone was telling me there was another question from Pastor Gail. I'm trying to find it. But if it is about the various 3 different vaccines that are available, they're pretty much of similar effectiveness. The one bit of caution I'll give you is that if you are between the ages of 18 to 50 and you're a woman, you should strongly consider getting the Pfizer or Moderna, because there is no additional risk associated with those vaccines. There is an additional risk, although very small and very rare, associated with the J&J. I had a very, 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 very dear sister friend who is a commissioner out in Texas choose to get the J&J vaccine, even though there was that small additional risk, because for her, if she did not get that J&J vaccine, which was only 1 dose, her likelihood of getting vaccinated fell very much. And so she understood the odds, and she said, I want to get vaccinated. And I was counseling her through that process and praying with her through that process. So for those of you who are believers, and I do know in the community of faith, especially in the Christian faith, there are some who are uneasy about getting vaccinated. I'm here to tell you, it's not a mark of the beast. I'm here to tell you, there is nothing in your faith that tells you you can't get vaccinated. And as an apostle and a woman of faith and a believer, it is not a lack of faith to get vaccinated. How soon will we be able to know if a booster shot is needed? We need more data, Odessa, because we don't know how long the immunity lasts. We have people who have been vaccinated for at least 1 year. So the science is accumulating. Could there be a possibility that we will need boosters in the future? Yes, there is a possibility that we will need boosters in the future. I'm doing one more scan. And if anyone is texting me a question, I don't see any additional questions. Again, there isn't any one vaccine I would recommend over the other. There are certain eligibility criteria that are different. If you're 12, the only vaccine that you're able to get is Pfizer. If you're a woman, I would recommend that you choose between Pfizer or Moderna if you don't want to take on that very small additional risk. But like, if you tell me I'm not going to get vaccinated if I can't get the 1 shot, then I'm going to say, as long as you know the risk and you know it's small, then I want you to get vaccinated. So it's 4:02 and keeping true to the time. I want to thank you all for tuning in to this Life Clinic episode with Dr. Chris. You are my lifeline. You are my joy and you are my love. So I thank you for your support and your encouragement in this. Please share this. Share this Life Clinic page. Share the YouTube page. I need subscribers. We need more people to subscribe to the Life Clinic page with Dr. Chris, and you need more content, and I'm going to do that. And the content is going to get better, and the content is going to get more diverse. Again, look for me on Twitter at Dr. Chris MD. Look for me on Instagram at The Good Doctor, all spelled out, MD. Look for me on Facebook on the Life Clinic page, Life Clinic 101, and look for the Life Clinic with Dr. Chris YouTube channel. We are out there, and we are coming to you with knowledge and love. This is the People's Physician, the Good Doctor MD. Yahweh bless. Shalom and agape.